Dunn here with the Melissadunn Realty team, and I've got Brandon Hearn here, one of our preferred lenders. And today we're going to talk about what it takes to buy and sell simultaneously at the same time and not go crazy and pull out all of your hair. So I'm going to talk about kind of what I do if you don't choose to use a loan product, and then we're going to kick it over to Brandon, and he's going to talk about some of the loan products that are available to make that an easier transition for you. Okay? Sound good, Brandon?
Works for me.
Awesome. Okay, so what we do, if you are going to move up or move down as a buyer and seller, we're going to come in and we're going to do a full property analysis on what we should list you for, all that fun stuff. We'll do all of our normal listing activities like staging, getting you ready, all of our marketing. But before we do any of that, we are going to require, if you plan on purchasing with a loan, I am going to require that you get a loan consult from one of my preferred lenders. The reason why I do that, I want to know that if I sell your home, or when I sell your home, you're not going to be homeless. I want to make sure that we know moving forward if we can carry two mortgages at the same time, if we need to close on one, get a lease back, and close on the other. It really is important for me to know, to game plan with you so that this is an easy, more predictable kind of timeline. So what we do, we list your property first, and our focus, once we've gotten your pre-approval done, our focus is going to be on selling your property. Once we get your property under contract, and during this time, you'll have your property search online that you can look at, and you're welcome to go to as many open houses as you want. But during this time, my focus is on getting you under contract on your existing home. Once I get you under contract, we focus on our option period. So we want to make sure that we are giving our attention to repair negotiations, because ultimately I want you to walk away from the closing table with as much money in your pocket as possible. Once we are out of the option period, that's whenever you can start shopping. I usually will negotiate beforehand a longer lease back for you. That's typically either at your current mortgage rate per day, or it'll be at the new buyer's mortgage rate per day. Sometimes I'm able to even negotiate them in for free. So it depends on how many offers we get. I've had 30-day lease backs for free a lot of times, so it's not unheard of. And then basically, if we get a 3-week lease back, we essentially have, and you've got a full pre-approval with Brandon, if he can close you in 21 days, I still have 3 weeks that we can go shopping. And once you're out of your option period, we hit the ground running and we go find you a house as quickly as possible. We look at as many houses as you want to look at. We find the one, we negotiate on it, and we get you under contract. And then at closing, we're going to close on one, close on the other, you're going to have your lease back, and it'll give you time to move into the next home. So that isn't for everyone. For some people, that's too stressful for them. And if that is, we have options that Brandon can talk about. So I think the most common one, Brandon, would be the bridge loan. Would you agree?
That's the most common one people talk about. Correct. Yeah. It's the most marketed. Why do you think it's the most marketed?
Maybe because they make the most money. Okay.
Lenders love the bridge loan because they do two mortgages. They just doubled their revenue off you. So I'm going to talk about these options from most expensive to least expensive.
Okay.
So most expensive is the bridge loan. So what a bridge loan is they put another loan on your current property. So they do a full loan on your current property to give you the money for the down payment on the next one. Okay. It's a wonderful convenience. You have to have the debt to income, so your income needs to cover both at the same time. All right. So that's important. The risk is that lien that they put on, that bridge loan they put on your property. If something happens, God forbid, let's say a hailstorm in Wiley, and the contractors are so backed up you can't get your roof and house fixed for 6 months, your bridge loan may or may not be extended. Hopefully it is. But now you're stuck with these two larger payments at once. So the risk is getting hung with them both. right? And sometimes it's out of your hands, sometimes it's in God's hands, sometimes the market shifts. I mean, who knows? So the bridge loan is a wonderful convenience. On average, it costs you $4,000 to $5,000 more than some of the other options just because you're doing extra work, right? Again, lenders love it because they make more money. What I usually recommend is kind of the second option, which is you be the lender. You be the bridge loan. What do I mean by that? I'll give you a couple examples. And this is why it's so important to have a lender who understands products and who listens, because there's a lot of other options. So I got a client right now who has a lot of equity in his house and he's moving up. He has a home equity line of credit on his house. He got it 4 or 5 years ago when he redid his bathroom and kitchen, paid it off, but he's got about a $50,000 limit on it. Well, he's just borrowing from his HELOC for his down payment for his other one. Now, remember, you don't have to put down 20% on the purchase. You can put down less than that. And I'm going to talk about recasting at the end. But just know that you can put down 5% on the purchase. And then when you sell your house and get the bigger chunk of money, you can take that, put it into your new one, and recast it. So it's actually the monthly payments on the lower amount. Everything's on the lower amount. Now you're only doing one loan and you're kind of acting as the bank, so that your opportunity cost there is you're paying interest on that home equity line of credit. Your risk is you could also get caught with 2 mortgages at once. Another client has a really large 401k. A lot of people don't know this, but you can take a loan against your 401k to purchase a house. The cool thing about that is I can borrow $50,000 from my 401k. I get $50,000. A month later, I got to make my first payment. So I use that for my down payment on my house. My debt to income still is covering both. And then every penny of interest that I pay on my 401k loan, I actually pay myself. I am the bank. I'm borrowing my own money. So now my 401k grows faster than it normally would. That's awesome. There's no tax event there. It's wonderful. A lot of times people take the 401k loan and they sell their house and they actually pay off the loan before they even have to make their first payment on it, because things just move really quick. And I can think of a dozen other ways that you can kind of be your own lender here. But I try to look at it from the perspective, okay, that's a pretty convenient way to do it. And it's going to cost you a whole heck of a lot less. All right. The recasting. So the recasting is a core component to the strategies of being your own lender or putting less money down. So, sometimes when people are downsizing, they have enough money to put 5% down. They put 5% down, they're okay. What a recast is it's not a refinance. So your terms of your loan are not changing. It's still going to be 30 years if that's what you did. The interest rate's the same. The cost of a recast is somewhere between $200 and $400. And it's as simple as a phone call and a wire. That's all you do. So you call your bank. So let's say I put 5% down on a $400,000 house and my principal and interest payment was $1,500 a month because I only put down 5%. So it's a big loan. Mm-hmm. 2 months later, I sell my other house. I moved everything over. I'm totally fine. Now I have $200,000 that I'm going to put down and recast my loan with. I call my bank and I say, hey, I'd like to recast my loan. They say, how much are you going to put down? I say, I'm going to send you $100,000. You send them $100,000. Your loan amount goes from $350 down to $250, and your principal and interest payment goes from $1,500 to $1,000. And that's it. It's that simple. It's really easy to do. Key things on a recast is you cannot recast government loans. So if you do an FHA, a VA, or a USDA, you cannot recast those. So this is for conventional only. And a lot of times when people do that, they actually don't take the full 200 and recast their house with it, right? Because there are very few times, let's face it, there are very few times in my life where I just get a $200,000 tax-free. That's a pretty nice deal, right? So if I'm downsizing, when I see people downsize, I see people maybe take some of that money and pay off some of their debt. get rid of their car notes, or maybe I see them buy a second home or buy a trailer. RVs are really popular right now. Or I see them invest it. A lot of people are investing their proceeds in the stock market. Because in the stock market, you can earn a lot more than you could on your home. So when I think of buying and selling, 90% of the time, Melissa, your strategy is so successful, clients really don't have to get too much in the weeds on this stuff.
Yeah.
What I'd like to talk about with people, and I love that you're doing the full loan consultation piece, is what I talk to people about is I go, let's get you fully approved and fully approved for both at once. Because now, no matter what happens, you don't have to worry about it. You're totally fine. And kind of go overview with them, like, tell me about your 401k, tell me about your life insurance policy, tell me about your IRA, tell me about, do you have other options? Because if you have other options, you can avoid a bridge loan.
Yeah, I think, again, I feel like every video we've done, we've spoken to the importance of doing a true loan consult, because you are giving them so much knowledge, and it truly is a consultation, because they don't know, there's so many different loan programs that even if they were to bring me, their situation, I don't know every program and what would be perfect for them, right? You are the expert in that realm. I'd send them to you.
Well, it's very similar to your strategy, right? So when I'm listening to you talk about your process, the key things that I heard is you got a lot of preparation, and the client's got to know their options. Because and it's the same thing in lending. If you're not prepared in a real estate transaction, I mean, let's face it, if you're buying and selling at the same time, that's over $500,000. Over $500,000 that is moving around.
Yeah.
You got to take the time to make sure it moves correctly.
Yeah.
Because I don't make that much money in an hour. So I'm willing to spend an hour with you in my home. Let's get how do I get my home list ready? How do I do all this stuff? And I tell clients I tell your clients on the back end too, I go, if Melissa, if we're getting down to the wire, we can still close the loan in 10 days. People will rush. Now, 10 days is the legal limit. It's the quickest you can close them, but people will rush. And they'll work harder for you. If you're a good client, you're easy to work with, and you help us out, we can get things done even faster. So, that window that you gave, it's actually pretty big. And I don't know how you accept. There are very few times where that doesn't happen almost correctly.
Yeah. And especially now, with as many multiple offer situations that we've gotten into, I mean, we can do longer term lease backs to where, and I always I'm so scared. What if I sell my house and I can't find a house? I promise you, you will find a house. I have full-time showing assistants that all they do is pick up the phone when I call and show up at a property to unlock the door. Like, I can get you into a house the minute it is listed. And, I think giving us the extra time with the lease back, it just makes you more comfortable as a buyer and a seller, doing that simultaneously. And it should be noted that not all lenders can close as quickly as Brandon or a lender like Brandon can. I would not, my strategy might be different depending on what lender you work with and the conversation that I have with that lender, because, I do have kind of high standards for the lenders that I work with, especially whenever we are buying and selling simultaneously, because it can totally happen. It can totally be done very smoothly with as little stress to you as the client as possible, if we're working with high quality professionals who know what they're doing. So that's a really big kind of caveat that I think that we need to tag in this video. So.
Nailed it.
Awesome. Okay. So I think, Brandon, you covered everything that I was going to ask. Do you have anything else that you want to say in regards to kind of the buying, selling at the same time thing, or you think you covered everything?
No, I mean, and I love your strategy. And I think people really underestimate a detailed and organized realtor like yourself, because sometimes they kind of gloss through those details, but if your client's prepared, their home is list ready, everything's lined up. I tell clients all the time when they go, oh, I found my dream house, I got to have it. I'm like, is your current one listed? They're like, no. I go, is it ready? And they go, no. I go, oh. But if they say, oh yeah, Melissa was here last Saturday, we lined up the gardener, and they just start telling me this, I'm like, okay, so you're confident? Oh yeah, I'm good. That's a whole different experience, right? That's going to be super. They get their dream house, they sell their other house, no concern.
Yeah. And it's also super important if you do find that dream house before I've listed your house, that you have a thorough consult with Brandon or a lender similar to Brandon who can tell us if you can buy and or if you can hold two mortgages at the same time. Because if you cannot, it's going to be very difficult for me to get an offer through a multiple offer situation contingent on the sale of another property. So that's where talking with you comes into play. And yeah, we can hold two mortgages. We're not going to have trouble selling our other property. We're not going to be contingent on this purchase. And you're comfortable. You as the client have all of the information, and you know kind of what the situation would be either way, and you're comfortable with it. So again, that's where a knowledgeable consult comes in, and working with great realtors and lenders. So.
I love it.
Awesome. Okay, Brandon, well, thank you so much for this knowledge. I guess we're going to see you in video number 5, which is on appraisals. So we'll see you then.